People looking at me from outside. Hi everyone, I'm Karishma Chawla. I'm a nutrition consultant and integrative nutrition health coach. You become what you are. Being an expert in the field, I cater to clients all over the country, which is with PCOS, thyroids, pregnancy, uh, insulin resistance, and obesity. Now, the entire idea is that we are what we eat. Literally, what we eat gets translated into your blood, into your cells, and it actually makes you think, feel, and behave in a certain manner. Now, what would differentiate me from just a normal nutritionist or a dietitian would be when a health coach angle comes into the picture, it basically makes you realize why should you be on a plan, uh, being on the plan and actually be able to help you to sustain the plan. The most important journey is not to get you only from a plan A to plan B, but most importantly to convince you to that point where you actually can sit through on that plan and use this for your entire life. Okay, so in today's topic, I would want to talk about nutrition for healthy pregnancy. We will cover what should you eat, why should you eat them, what should you not eat, the how much weight should you gain, deconstruct cravings, and also special nutrition during pregnancies in terms of the special nutrients in terms of folate, iron, or calcium. Then a few tips on acidity, constipation, and a few concerns that we probably have in different trimesters because remember, pregnancy can be absolutely subjective. Like it's completely depends upon the subject or the concept of bioindividuality, where one person's concern might not even be looked at by anybody else. So let's begin with what should we eat. Now, from conception to birth, all the parts of the infants are made from the nutrients which are obtained from the mother, either from the food she eats or from the mother's body itself. Hence, the caloric requirement is certainly greater for the pregnant woman than non-pregnant women. Of course, let's go back to the test. It's not for eating for two, but there's definitely a gradual increase in terms of the macronutrients and in terms of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats from the first trimester to the second trimester and finally to the third trimester. Now, underweight women and more physically active women definitely have a higher energy or a caloric intake. Now, the focus here should actually be on nutrition dense foods rather than empty calories. Again, pregnancy being a time of anabolism, to ensure the right amount of weight gain, what we really need to concentrate is that we ingest all these additional calories from complex carbohydrates, lean protein, and healthy fats. Now let's just talk about a little about the carbohydrates. Now we basically have two kinds of carbohydrates. We have simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are carbohydrates which are high on starch and low on fiber. They can easily get into fat gain and also give rise to insulin resistance, hormonal imbalances like PCOS. Also, to a great extent, where women were very, very concerned during the pregnancy not to actually, intake too much of simple carbohydrate because that could lead to gestational diabetes. So the examples of single carbs would be definitely there are Indian carbohydrate breakfast items would be something like white rice poha or a rava upma. Now the idea would basically be to switch from these simple carbohydrates, which could lead to fat gain, and then certainly lead to more complications during pregnancy, and switch them to complex carbohydrates. Now complex carbohydrates are also high in starch, but they're also high on fiber. So, for example, you can have an whole wheat. Uh, you have quinoa, oats, jowar, bajra, rajgira, nachni. Now, again, depending upon the season. Now, for example, bajra is a winter crop. So, in case you're in a pregnancy and you're completely in the summer month, maybe that would not go down well with you. So, hence you can switch to a whole wheat or a jowar. Similarly, if there are people with sensitive digestive issues, something like Rajgira or Nachni might be difficult. So hence you just have to be a little more alert on what really suits you. So the entire idea right now, what I would tell you all is that pregnancy is the most beautiful time for a woman because she's literally giving birth to another human being. So the idea would be self-regulation. So once you realize that you can self-regulate yourself, that will also become an important part for your parenting because it's just not about getting your child growing up, making her go into the best school, but it's also because you need to realize that we are what we eat. So hence everything begins from you. Now giving you the examples of the carbohydrates, what I would want you to also understand is that how to make few breakfast options. So like I said, you can replace your white rice poha with brown rice poha. You can replace your rava upma by oats upma. These are just few examples. And you can also, stick to like a whole wheat vegetable sandwich. Now again, I'm not a very big fan of a whole wheat vegetable sandwich because bread would still contain certain amount of trans fat and sugar. So maybe at times when you have time constraint and you just cannot make food for yourself, you could probably have that slice along with some green chutney and salad to cut down the insulin spike. And so probably this could be just sparingly for women who are really working and they don't have the time to make better foods for themselves. Or secondly, you could have ready-to-eat cereals like plain muesli or wheat flakes. But I would still prefer that you use these flakes or the vegetable sandwich only due to time constraint or when you're traveling. Now, the key to follow this would be as simple as the foods that are cooked in the house will always be less caloric than the foods which are ready or that is bought from outside. So, giving an example of your carbohydrates, and next, so the main important function of carbohydrates would be to supply the energy for fetal brain. So now you have to decide that do you really want to supply? It's like when somebody would argue with me and tell me that why do I need to stick to whole grains and why can't I just eat the rice and the maida? I'm like, dude, today when you have a performance car, would you want to give their performance car the best grade oil or any mediocre oil? If you would not do that to a car, you definitely don't want to do that to your child. So hence, I think the switch should be from simple to the complex carbohydrates. Then the next important micronutrient, which we all tend to ignore all the time, is protein. The protein is required for the growth and development, including the formation of cells, formation of enzymes, hormones, muscles, etc. Now we also have two kinds of protein. You have complete protein, which basically means they have an entire amino acid profile. You have an incomplete protein, which is basically are limiting in one or two amino acids. Now your animal foods, basically your meats, eggs, your milk and milk products, all of them are the best profile for your protein sources. Also, they are high in biological value. That means if I give you a bowl of dal and I give you some amount of paneer, the amount of protein that is basically absorbed from the protein will be far more higher from the dal. Also, including the fact that the amino acid profiles are different in both of them. But you still don't need to worry because there will be a few vegetarians or there will be some vegans who would not be able to have the complete animal protein or the meat. You could combine two sources. Like, for example, if you combine brown rice and kidney beans, it gives you a better profile. Again, all of these things need to be done little more of monitoring and understanding what you need to do. But the important point is please do not go low on protein. Simple example to give you, usually for a pregnant woman, the protein requirement for an entire day would be anywhere from 75 to 100 grams. And if you're carrying twins, it's 100 to 150 grams. And you're just 150 grams of paneer, so like a small block, would only hold 10 grams of protein. So do you realize how much of the protein are we going less onto? Another important point that you could actually try to understand where you're going low on protein would be the amount of swelling that you carry during your pregnancy. Now remember, it is very healthy to carry certain amount of swelling in the body because the blood volume has expanded and hence which is important for the steady supply of the oxygen and nutrients. But where when you see that you're swelling a little more than you should be able to carry or you're finding it difficult to walk or even exercise, for example, you're going for a yoga or a Pilates, then you really need to check that probably you're low on protein. Okay. Now the next macronutrient, which is very healthy for your fetal growth and development, especially for the baby's brain and eyes, would be your fat. Now the idea is during pregnancy, you don't need to cut down on fat because you're worried about the weight gain, right? The idea is to cut down on the wrong fats and introduce the right fats because it's the right amount of balance that is going to create the right growth for your baby. So that could be coming from flax seeds, walnuts, your fish, which could be your salmon, mackerel, or sardines. Very importantly, what I would suggest is high quality fish oil caps. Now, I do understand that a lot of people are vegetarians. Again, you also have the vegetarian versions of EP and DHA, which are basically given the fish oil cap. Only thing it's like a priority, right? It's like the best would be a fish oil cap, and then would be a vegan EP and DHA. But the important point is that we continue taking the supplements with amount of the food that we are also taking, because we definitely want to intake the fish 2 or 3 times in a week to avoid any mercury contamination. Okay, now the next part of the entire talk will probably be more interesting, is basically to understand why should we be on a plan. So remember, learning to feed your family, which is going to be your baby right now, it's important that you learn how to feed yourself well. So in other words, you need to learn to be a competent eater. So when I say that you want to learn to be a competent eater, it basically means to self-regulate your entire process. Being so self-aware in terms of your consciousness that you know exactly when you're hungry, when should you sit on the table, what should you eat, and when should you stop. Now, when I say when should you stop, it basically means to differentiate exactly when you're satiated and not full. Because the entire idea is actually if you can self regulate yourself, you will not give in to the wrong cravings and the unwanted fat percentage that usually happens in pregnancy. So, simple rules to be a competent eater would be you plan your entire day, you plan your meals. At any given point of time, stock your kitchen with the right foods. So, that could be fruits, nuts, your curd, eggs, some other sources of salad like a sprouted salad. So even by the time you need to go and cook food for yourself or ask your staff to make something for you, you still have a certain amount of snack which is ready for you. So besides following planning your wholesome meals, you also need to make sure that you eat in regular intervals of the day. So, for example, if you skip your meals from 4 to 5 hours, it could easily basically get into dipping into your low blood sugar levels. It can increase cravings, and then finally, when you sit down, you're justifying yourself because you're craving. Simply because your blood sugar levels have gone down, and you actually fast, and it basically leads to fasting and feasting. There's something that we completely need to avoid during pregnancy. Another important thing is that you avoid eating in front of television, the computer, or over the phone. Calm yourself post a stressful event. There are a lot of times you could have like a bad conversation with somebody on the phone, or you had like a bad argument with your boss on a particular day, and then you sit down to eat. Now, a very important part on this thing would be that when you are stressed in your eating, remember there's not enough flow going to your digestive muscles. So, in short, the entire nutrient efficacy of that has been compromised. So, what I suggest is sit down, ground yourself, and most importantly, even if you can meditate, meditate for a couple of minutes. Reminding yourself that you're mentally active and physically calm, and that's how you would actually be able to eat your next meal. A very, very important thing is please be grateful about the food on your plate. Remember, it's not only nourishing you, it's also nourishing your baby. And most importantly, learn to enjoy your meals. Now, besides being a competent eater, the most important thing for women, I mean, that's from my personal experience when I meet a lot of people and stuff, when, for example, there are people who come to me who are like zero size, right? And then they suddenly get pregnant in within like 2 months of their wedding. And they say, damn, I'm not even going to enjoy my body and my life and stuff like that. I ask them to calm down simply because you're already pregnant and you have made this decision to actually hold on to this conception and deliver. So the idea is to basically enhance your mental, physical, and emotional well-being because that is very, very important to what is going to happen to your child. Whatever you eat, think, and feel, remember, is getting translated through your womb to the child. So the most important thing, or the most important thing that gift that you can give yourself while you're pregnant is absolutely to take utmost self care of yourself. That literally helps you to refuel and nurture yourself on a deep level. Now, how do you do that? Honestly, it's very very simple. This I think everyone should do. It just gets a little more interesting for pregnant women to do. It would be to make sure that you're sleeping 7 to 8 hours in the night, you're regularly exercising. While you're regularly exercising, you're also ensuring good amount of rest, adequate amount of sunshine, which could be around 20 to 30 minutes in the day. Even if you cannot go out for a walk, you could still be having your cup of tea or coffee in the morning, where you can actually have the sun rays coming in right in front of you. Take that sun rays, because the deal is that we have, because we stay so much in the indoors or because we are gymming, we have literally not taken the actual benefits of the nature. So it is important that you get back to your roots during a pregnancy. Another important thing that you can do is adopt anti-stress techniques, that is could be meditation, praying, yoga, being in the nature. Very very important is Like I said, everything that you think and feel is translated to your child. A lot of us, when things do not go too well in the day, we get overwhelmed and we could actually crib or say negative statements. The idea is to refocus or defocus on all these things. And how can you actually do that? When you start concentrating on more what is happening good in your life rather than the bad, uh, it would be better. Okay, so the most important thing is how much weight should you gain. So ideally, it would be 3.5 pounds in the first trimester and 1 pound for every week hence. But make sure that you're not underweight or overweight, especially not overweight because it could create complications at delivery, gestational diabetes, high BP, and usually kids of obese mom turn to come out much later in life. Are we looking at questions? Yeah. So I okay. We need to make this big for me. Should I continue saying something till you give me a question? Hi Manisha, your question is that you were in the seventh month running and your weight has increased only 1 kg. Well, darling, a lot depends upon what weight that you start with, and I'm sure that you're going for regular checkups with the doctor, and he would be in a better place to tell you how healthy your baby is. Just to get you at ease, what I could tell you is that remember that your baby is always taking its nutrients from the food you eat or from your entire body itself. So even if you gain 1 kg, the idea is that making sure when you go for all your tests, those are done well, so your baby is healthy. Maybe you're just lacking a little on protein or some right kind of sources, or just talk to an healthcare or just reach out to people who can give you a better diet plan in order to make sure that once you deliver, you are not deficient of a lot of stuff. I do understand that all you guys are very, very skeptical and worried about the weight gain. But the idea is just not about the weight gain that your doctor is always taking care of. The idea is when you listen to my talk, you should know that it's all about nutrients, right? Hence, I have shifted the entire focus from simple carbs to complex carbs, ensuring that you're having proteins 3 times in a day and the healthy fats. So it's the nutrient composition that leads to the weight gain that is more important. So don't worry about that because you're tech. There are people who do not gain any kind of weight. It's very very little, but the baby is completely healthy. But the most important thing that you need to check is that how healthy you feel, how positive you feel, and for example, you could also check if you have extra swelling in the body, so you know then your protein requirements, your protein needs are much more, and probably you've overlooked that fact. Remember, if the protein goes down, the carbs will go high, and excess of carbs can also damage the system, right? So maybe look at these markers rather than just looking at the weight gain. It's more important to understand how you feel during a pregnancy. I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I wonder. What does she eat, right? Okay, so fifth month usually would be your second trimester. Your second trimester is the time when actually the skeleton of the baby is getting made. So what you really, really need to emphasize is calcium, iron, and protein. Now you remember the calcium doubles during pregnancy. So pregnant women will get twice as much than the non-pregnant intake would be. However, the fetus draws what it needs again from the maternal bones. So right now, whatever calcium you draw, usually taking double that. Also, make sure that you have a lot of calcium sources like green leafy vegetables, bok choy, kale, tofu, legumes, and dairy. Very, very importantly, I'm very glad that you asked this question, is because most of the women do not uptake their calcium requirement, and because then the calcium is taken away from their bones for the kids, they're little later in life, they're more prone to osteoporosis. So imagine if there are 2 or 3 pregnancies, what exactly you put down your body to. And then we wonder at the age of 35, we've eaten well, but but we are still osteoporotic. So very, very important to actually have that. Second important thing is your protein requirements. So just make sure that you're ensuring the good amount of protein if you're non-vegetarian from animal foods and your milk and milk products. And in case you're vegetarian, then whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Very important thing also that you require for your second trimester would be iron. So please ensure that you're having legumes, dark green leafy vegetables, animal foods, and whole grains. A simple trick to increase iron absorption would be adding vitamin C in your iron-rich foods. Okay, amazing question, Neerja. You said you're eating too much of sweet during pregnancy. I'm happy because actually a lot of women would want to understand and deconstruct cravings. Now, the most important thing that you need to understand is when you crave for something, can you just reflect and keep a journal for yourself and find out what exactly are you eating? So usually how is how the body works, right? If you give it ice cream or a certain amount of sweet, what you eat in last is going to remain in your mind. And because of that, you will keep craving that more and more and more. Now remember, second important thing, the entire food industry is spending millions and millions of money every single day to create that product for you which induces cravings in you. So again, when you reflect back thinking that this is what you've eaten last and it remains on your taste buds, you need to realize what are you craving and then why are you craving this. Third very important angle is figure in the day what do you do. Remember, the food that you eat is secondary because it's a food on your plate. Your primary food basically is what you have is basically decides or determines what you're going to eat next. So that could be maybe you are craving sweet because of boredom, maybe you had a stress day at work, maybe you've not communicated well with your husband, or maybe there is some friendship that is troubling you. What you need to do is sit yourself down and reflect on whatever I asked you to right now and think exactly why you're craving. Remember, during pregnancy, because of the fluctuations a little in testosterone, estrogen, there are few cravings. But if it is more than it, your body is trying to tell you something. And maybe you would actually need to take effort in figuring that out rather than giving into the temptation. Like I said in the first thing, if you since you're going to be a mom right now, you need to be a competent eater. So self-regulate this process for yourself so you'll also be able to do the same thing for your baby soon. Should I just talk something more? Okay, very quickly, I just want to write what you need to avoid during pregnancy. Firstly, avoid your cravings to justify your pure nutrition calories. Alcohol and tobacco, they can alter the gene expression of the mother and affect the baby. Very important question, how much caffeine can I have, darlings? Not more than 2 cups of coffee in a day. Green tea is still okay. Avoid artificial sweeteners, raw food, raw eggs, lightly cooked poultry and fish, serving too much food at one time. Remember, we want to eat every 2 hours because it also helps you with blood sugar levels, cravings, and keeps your acidity levels down. Second is consumption of foods with strong flavors. Please do not self medicate yourself. Speak to your doctor and avoid as much as drugs as possible. Usually, people are okay with herbal supplements, but I still would say consume them sparingly. The ones that are still more okay to take would be ginger and chamomile. And maybe I could cover a few tips on pregnancy, which could be exercise as possible, be as active as possible. Remember, it's going to ease your labor. Even if you eat foods which are rich in magnesium, that will help you. That will prevent your uterus to contract prematurely and also help you with your labor. So you could have oat bran, spinach, banana, mackerel. All of these are along with your magnesium supplements, depending on what your doctor would prescribe you. They would really help. Two or three very important things that happen in pregnancy is constipation. So constipation guidelines would be good water intake, good fiber when it comes from fruits and vegetables, vegetable juices, whole grains and legumes. Again, you're avoiding the simple carbs. And if it's very, very chronic, you could, with your doctor, figure out if you require any other fiber supplement. And also, prunes and apricots in the morning would do you good. Okay. To prevent heartburn, you need to avoid fatty foods, fried foods, ensuring that you have small, frequent meals every 2 to 3 hours. Very importantly, to avoid or to overcome morning sickness would be to consume carbohydrate-rich foods. Now, again, when I'm saying carbohydrates, the emphasis is on complex. A lot of people tell me, I feel good with eating bread. Darling, you're feeling good eating bread because you're eating something. Most of the time, the morning sickness is basically a symptom of the cause that is acidity that in your body. So you rather eat every 2 hours. Make sure that you're having good amount of vegetable juices. Remember, they are powerhouses of energies. Okay, it's as your vegetable juices work as good as like a saline IV when you're not feeling too well. Very importantly, nutrition snacks in the between meals. So you can actually have like a three simple example would be like a quinoa salad or a quinoa cutlet or a paneer cutlet. Please have them made and refrigerate them and ask for them whenever you need. Very importantly, wash the fruits and vegetables and take care of your hydration levels. Hi Sangeeta, since you're diabetic, so like I said, again the emphasis go back to your complex carbohydrates. So could you just look into your entire food journal what you're eating? So avoid basically don't have anything with white rice, refined flour, sama, sabudana, makhana. All of them are basically going to give rise to high insulin spike and high sugar levels. And eventually, you don't want that because, regardless of the fact that you're diabetic and you're on medication, you're still kind of irritating the cell, because. It's like you're eating the foods that are high in sugar, the sugar levels are going up, and then you're suppressing it. So not something that we really, really want. So make sure that you're not having those simple sugars. You change that to brown rice, dalia, oats, or jowar during your lunch as well. Also ensure at least three servings of protein in the day. They help to keep your blood sugar levels in place, and healthy fats. So they also make your insulin more sensitive. So hence the dosage of your diabetes eventually might even come down lower because you're starting to eat healthier now. So you could also start with very high quality fish oil supplements, and just make sure that you exercise better because when you exercise, insulin functions better. Okay. Very quickly, let me just give you some immunity guidelines or what everybody could really do. Ensure vegetable juices, 2 to 3 glasses of vegetable juices every day. They're powered of energy and antioxidants. You could also indulge something in a bone broth, which is very good for the. It's a good immune booster as well as it improves digestion. Please check on your vitamin D3 levels because the deficiency of it can basically lead to rickets and also the formation of autoimmune diseases, for example, type 1 diabetes. A very important thing that I would insist on would be please add coconut oil to your smoothie. It's a natural immune booster. It's supportive of the baby's brain development, and it also has many, many components of the breast milk which supports nursing well. And your in terms of your in terms of your hydration, you could also include fluids like low fat milk, buttermilk, coconut water, lime juice. Remember, during your pregnancy is the time when your body is really preparing itself for lactation later, and it's the quality quantity of food, of the right foods along with the right amount of hydration, that is actually going to lead to good lactation once you deliver. Okay. um, Khushbu, you want to know what are the do's and don'ts about eating during pregnancy? Okay, so let me make this very simple for you. Indulge into complex carbohydrates. I'm going to repeat myself. Three simple stuff: jowar or whole wheat, oats, and you can add quinoa. Comes to your protein, lean protein. Ensure three amounts of protein coming from animal foods or your milk and milk products, or you combine two products like a brown rice or kidney. Third, very important part is the good fats that come from flaxseed, walnut, fish, and fish oil cap. Okay. Okay. Besides of all the gyan that I've given you guys right now, a very important note that I want to leave you with. I want to leave you with this thought. What if I tell you that what you eat today while you're pregnant will not only help your child but your grandchild? Would you still want to think twice about eating healthy? I mean, the best gift that you can give anybody would be, I mean, the best wealth is health, right? And you are in power right now to give that not only to your child but to your grandchild. So please take this opportunity, take utmost care of yourself, and eat healthy. In simple words, eat food, not much, not less. I hope you enjoyed this show with me, and you may reach me on my website. It is www.karishmachawla.in. And you can follow me on Facebook and Insta as well. With you can just put my name in it. And okay, and again, I would repeat: eat food, not much, not less. And until next time, thank you.